Hello, Rosa. Can you hear me okay? This is
Hey.
Rick.
Yes, Rick, I can hear you.
Fantastic. And are you able to see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, perfect. We're just going to wait for a few minutes and let some other people join on here that might be coming on.
Okay, sounds good.
And where are you calling in from?
I'm from Atlanta, Georgia.
Oh, beautiful. That's one of my favorite cities in the sense of the diversity and how well people seem to interact and get along.
Oh yeah, definitely. We
I'm
have
a
a good different amount of different cultures.
Yeah, I'm a type of person that I'm always greeting people with a smile on my face, and that overly exuberant. Oh, good morning. Oh, hi. Just and don't find that reciprocated too many places, but I certainly found that in Atlanta, and it didn't
Yeah.
matter the race or color or anything else. If you ask somebody directions or the time, somebody jumps right in, and I just love that.
That is so true. Yeah.
Hi, good morning. This is Aaron.
Hello, Aaron. Thanks for joining us. Where are you calling in from?
I'm calling from Los Angeles, California.
Fantastic. That's where I've been the last 23 years or so.
Wow.
I'm currently up in northern Idaho in a place called Coeur d'Alene, 90 miles south of Canada, just to the east of Spokane, Washington, the nearest major airport.
Wow, that was nice. I've been here for about 6 years.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
And someone else just joined us. If you can say hello.
Good afternoon, Jonathan Tobe.
Hello, Jonathan.
Hello, Eugenia Davis just joined as well.
Hi, Eugenia Davis.
How you doing?
And I'm doing great. And are you the one that just joined from the 678 area code?
Yes.
Okay, great. And that's Chicago area?
No, that's Atlanta.
Oh, that's Atlanta also. Okay. Well, welcome.
Thank you.
We're just going to hold for a minute here. Just a few more people are joining, so we'll get started very, very shortly.
Okay. I'm going to mute myself so you don't hear all the background noise.
Oh, thank you.
Welcome.
And I'm actually I can't stay on. This is Jonathan. I'll have to listen to the recording. I'll have to jump shortly for another appointment, but I will listen to the recording.
Okay, great.
Hello.
Hello, welcome. Where are you calling in from? What is your first name?
Bill from Tampa.
Hello, Bill. Thank you for joining us.
How are you?
We're great. We're just going to wait a couple more minutes for a few more people that are coming on.
Very good.
All right, well, it's 3 minutes after. We're going to go ahead and get started. Certainly appreciate everyone introducing themselves and saying hello. For those that didn't hear at the very beginning, my name is Rick Grunden, and I work for B. Brooks and Associates. And we're going to go ahead and start this call, and I'm going to be recording it with your permission. So,
Okay.
well, it's been recording. Great. Well, thank you all for taking the time to come on to this call. Thank you for responding to the ad we placed. This is an ongoing, very profitable and successful business that I think you'll all enjoy the opportunity to have here. So this job is well splayed out in the ad you responded to, but I'll just reiterate, if you will. You will have the opportunity to follow a very proven step-by-step system in order to call outbound to automobile dealerships, which I'm going to show you here in a second how easy it is to locate the lead that we'll be calling with that confidence that I mentioned in the ad, where you already know that the people we're calling absolutely have a need for what we're offering. And there's just not too many situations like that in the world. Usually you're calling out, hoping that you're finding someone that's going to be interested, hoping that they're going to want what you have to offer, hoping this and hoping that. In this case, you've got this amazing amount of confidence every time you want to dedicate some time to spend on the phone, that when you call out to somebody, they can't say, I'm not actually looking for anybody right now. It's like, really? Because you literally have an ad looking for somebody. So it's an amazing amount of confidence. It gives you that joy when you're doing your job that you're going to have success at what you're offering. So you can choose to do, this is about calling out for staffing. This is for dealerships across the country. It's harder and harder and harder for these dealerships around the country to find qualified people. And that's anybody underneath their whole roof, but mainly we're going to be just talking about today the sales staff, right? All the different car salesmen and women that are offering the cars to people coming on the lots. And the other side that we're going to be talking about is staffing for the service technicians. These are very high-tech positions that give great pay, incredible incentives for people to come work at their dealerships, and it brings so much money to the dealership that they're willing to work very hard and spend money with our company to find the very best of the best, because these positions, again, are cash cows for the business. Obviously, the huge part about selling cars, the other side is servicing all those cars. So that's the long and the short of what we're doing. You are going to be calling out to dealerships that are absolutely looking for technicians or looking for salespeople or looking for a comptroller, all these other high-tech positions inside the car business, okay? When you call out, somebody might specialize and say, you know what, I just want to focus on the dealers that are looking for salespeople. Fantastic. You can focus on just those if you'd like to. Somebody might feel more comfortable or find there's a better need for the technician side and say, you know what, I'm just going to focus on service technicians. You can choose to do that. And then other people might say, I want to do both. I don't care which one or this or that, and they'll be able to call anybody. So there's so much flexibility with what you're doing. And then, as I also said in the ad, you're literally talking about a work day for the area that you're calling into. Now, we have people that call into other areas than which they live just because it fits better with the schedule they want to work that day. So they might be somebody sitting here in Los Angeles, for example, but they want to be calling East Coast. And so even though it's 10 o'clock on the East Coast, it's only 7 a.m. in Los Angeles, but they want to work that type of schedule. So you don't have to just call within your area. You can say, you know, hey, Rick, I want to call the people in New York, for example, or something like that, even though you're in Los Angeles, because you want to start working at 7 a.m. in the morning. We typically don't call these folks until after 10 a.m. their local time. So finding those hours, and then a lot of these people leave at 5 o'clock, or at least they don't want to be talking to anybody after 5. So again, that window is only 7 total hours between 10 a.m. and 5 p.m. of wherever you're calling into. And for anybody's standard, that's a pretty short work day. And, you know, if you take a lunch in there sometime, you're talking about having 5 or 6 hours of actual time that you can spend on the phone in that calling area. And I just want you to be aware of that. So does anyone have any questions just for the first part before we talk about actually how to do the actual job?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes, please say your name before you have.
This is Eugenia Davis in Atlanta.
Thank you, Eugenia.
My question is, okay, so how do you often get people to say that they are not looking for employees when they actually have an ad up saying that they're hiring?
We don't. That's the beauty of it. We're literally looking at an ad that's running that they're paying money to run that specific day. So it's not just about an old ad that might be up. They literally are paying to have that ad being run that very day. And so everything is in real time. It would literally be like you asking me if I'm on a telephone call right now. And I'm like, well, no, I'm not. Like, you literally are on a telephone call right now. Like, you know, this is kind of a rhetorical trick question. So that's, I'm saying that tongue in cheek and a little jokingly, but the point is that is, you know, I've been on the phones literally since I was a young single digit kid. And, you know, it's been my whole life, and it's just, there's not too many times in my life where I've called out knowing that I'm calling such a targeted list. It's like kind of like if somebody had filled out an information, please call me. that's a super, super warm lead, and that it just feels great when you find those situations in life. And that's what this is. And that's why, we don't have a lot of attrition. Once somebody comes on board and works with our company, they're usually staying with our company for a very long time, right? Because they like what they do. They like the amount of money they're making. They like the flexibility. This isn't a micromanaged situation where someone's looking in over you every minute of the day and, hey, how you doing there, Eugene? It's like, geez, let me do my thing. It is a performance-based pay, so you're getting paid for what you're actually doing, right? When there's a successful ending to that part of your job. So you're not just getting paid for setting an appointment, you're getting paid for the deals that are closed out of the appointments you set. The good news is that we close a lot of those appointments, right? The people that are calling have been doing this in this industry, every aspect of this industry. One of the senior people that are calling, we're talking about having over 2+ decades of experience in this industry. And when I say experience, I'm talking about running 200+ dealerships, right? It's like, what? I'm sorry, you kind of cut out there for a second. I thought you said 200 dealerships. When I talk about running 200 dealerships, that means that they have to know every aspect that goes underneath that roof or that property. So they know about the littlest job all the way to the biggest job and which ones are the most important to the bottom line of the business. And that's why we're mainly talking about these two areas: service technicians or the mechanics, and obviously the salespeople, which are the people that we mostly think about when we think about car dealerships, is the salesmen out there, right? Whether they're male or female, the point is these are the big cash cows that bring money into the business. Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes sense.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I have another question.
Please.
Okay, so what is the timeline as far as payout once we put the call in?
So your job is literally collecting information and setting an appointment for one of our senior people to call the next day, right? And they oftentimes they'll get a close on that very first day, but it might be 2 or 3 calls, right? The point is it usually only takes 2 to 5 days, let's say, for that deal to transpire, and they're literally overnighting money and payment as soon as they're saying yes to the contract. And we give them, for the sales side, we give them 4 different options to participate with us. On the service technician side, there's 3 different options we're offering them. And so we're really making it easy for them to say yes. And if you can imagine, in anybody's job, but we'll picture the job of the sales manager at a dealership, right? Their main enjoyment in life for doing their business is to be talking to a potential customer that one of their salespeople has, right, started working up paperwork, and they're bringing in to, I got to go run it by the manager and see if we can get this deal done. That's what they want to be doing. They absolutely do not want to be, right, taking out the trash. They don't want to be all these other sideline things. Obviously, the sales manager is not taking out the trash, but my point is those least desired type things. And one of those is hiring new people, right? They just don't want to be going through the riffraff, if you will, and having people coming in and, oh, geez, I own a car. I've never sold a car. They don't want to go through all this of trying to find the gems, trying to find the diamonds in the rough that they're going to actually choose to actually work there. They would much rather hand that all over to our company that specializes in providing top-notch people to fill those positions, and literally giving them, 10 to 20 people to choose from that are all amazing, and they can choose the 5 that they need or the 8 that they need, whatever they're looking for at that time. And it's just like, oh, let me get back to doing what we do best, which is making money on the sales floor. On the service side, it's the same thing, right? The only time that they're making money is when they've got a car up on the racks and they got someone working on it. And so when they would much rather have their service technicians doing the work and overseeing it, making sure everything's running smoothly, it's a whole takeaway from them and out of their pocket to have to turn around and put on the hat now of, well, now I got to go sit here and spend time hiring, investigating, researching, finding out these people that have the background that they say they have. They don't want to be doing that. They'd rather hand it over to a trusted company that specializes in this is the only thing we do is provide these amazing positions. And we're cheating in a way because the top technicians and salespeople in this industry know about our company. they know that we have these contracts. They know that we're the ones that are going to be filling those spots at a dealership rather than, right, these indirect ads posted by the actual companies themselves, right? So they come to us first, knowing that we're going to be the first ones that the major top dealerships and companies go to hire. And so we've got people that are qualified, and we get to place them quickly, and it's a win-win-win situation all around the board.
That's pretty smart.
Thank you.
So
I wish I'd thought of it myself, but yeah.
how soon do we get paid, though? Are you saying that we actually get paid within days of? We don't have to wait until the middle of the month or the end of the month?
Yeah, that's exactly what I said in the ad is the truth. And that is, when I talk about getting paid quickly, I'm talking about the moment we have money in the door from that client, and they literally overnight us the money for these packages because they want to get this job every single day, right? That a technician's job is not filled, right? We've got a service technician or even a salesperson for that matter. It's the same kind of thing. It's literally thousands of dollars, right, that they're losing. So do they want to get this top quality position filled sooner or later? Are they going to mail a check with regular mail? Or are they going to wire, they're going to do this stuff immediately. And as soon as we get that money in, we literally turn around, and you're all very familiar, I'm sure, with all the different ways that you can pay someone in this day and age, all these instant payment systems. We literally make it available to you that same time period. So you're talking about the same day or the next day you're getting paid.
Great.
And guess what that does for everybody?
And how much?
That's going to turn around and make someone super excited to go out and, right, make some more money. And it's just like, ooh, let's reward that behavior. Does that make sense?
Lots of sense.
Yeah.
Great. And so you guys are going to be having opportunities, I said in the advertisement, everyone's going to be starting out as, right, booking these appointments, getting this, collecting this information. We're wanting to know who the person that put in the ad, who's the one that's going to be making this decision. We want their information as we're going to send you all the scripts and everything. Everything, you've probably done these types of jobs before where, you've got a script and outline to get you started, but everyone's going to turn it into their own conversation, right? But it's a very, very, very simple task to book an appointment for somebody when they're absolutely wanting to have these jobs filled as quickly as possible. When you go through our script, it's super simple. Anybody who's interested in continuing, we're going to send all this to you immediately, and then we're going to go through it with you one-on-one, okay? And this job is sitting there booking an appointment, finding this information, sending information in, asking them, hey, what works better for you tomorrow? I'm going to send this email out to you with these different options. And what's going to work better for you tomorrow? Morning, afternoon? Okay, the afternoon, fantastic. Myself or one of our senior consultants is going to be calling you back in the afternoon tomorrow to go over these options. I look forward to talking to you then. And you're sending all that information in and moving on to the next customer. Now our packages that go out, they range to the dealership. These are $2,500 to $4,000 type packages, and you're talking about having either the payment options for a flat fee, right, which is most of the packages, and then there's an option to pay it per person that they hire, and that's a slightly longer time period to get paid because they're paying you after the fact. So you can rest assured that everyone on our team is pushing for the other options, right? But it's better to get paid sometime on a deal rather than nothing on a deal. So if they're saying no to the other three options and then we give them this fourth option, it's just like, well, yeah, we're still going to get paid a ton of money on this deal, but it's going to be paid after a month after they've started working, and they're paying us out of, after they've already hired the person. So we're not pushing for that one up front. We're pushing for the other ones to get paid up front and paid immediately. But instead of just leaving it on the table as a nothing, here's a final option that somebody's going to definitely say yes to, right? And I would say, I'm not saying that every single call turns into a sale, but having that fourth option is definitely something that has closed numerous deals that would have otherwise left us with nothing on the table. Does that make sense?
Are you saying it's less money or more money?
I'm saying it's more money, but there's a delay. So they're paying us after they've hired someone, but it's a bigger paycheck to you, but it's not going to be, you know, I just create this appointment, all of a sudden I'm getting paid 3 or 4 days later. This is a situation where you've created that appointment. The senior consultant tried the other packages, and they ended up on a package that pays us per person that they hire after they've been working there for 60 days. And so all of a sudden you get this surprise in the mail. It's a nice, huge little chunk for yourself, but it's a delay. And so even the person that's senior consultant, they get paid the same time you get paid, right? And so they don't want to wait 60 days either. So they're pushing the other packages for sure. But instead of walking away with a 0 or a no, they've got this fourth option that comes in and says, well, maybe, right, this is a fallback option here. Maybe this is the way you'd like to go. And they say, you know what, that we would like to pay you after we've had the person working here and know that they're a success. And that's just kind of a fallback plan. But again, it's better than having nothing on that deal. And I hope that makes sense. It'll make more sense with the different packages when we send you the script and everything. But just understand that most of the time you're getting paid very, very quickly and for a large dollar amount. So when I talk about those packages being $2,500 to $4,000 and such, you're actually making, just for setting the appointment, you're making 10% of that sale, right? Even though you're not closing the deal, right? You're setting the appointment, gathering information. One of our senior consultants is sitting there calling either myself or somebody else on the team, be calling that lead for you. And all of a sudden you're getting paid this giant chunk, in my opinion, of that sale. Now, every single person will have the opportunity to prove themselves with their booking appointments. We can hear the calls. It's like, wow, this person is really doing a great job. You're going to have the opportunity to go that step further and close that sale, right? You're going to actually have the opportunity to say, you know what, I'd like to call them back and talk to them about these packages. And that's going to be for each individual person to decide upon themselves to raise their hand and say, you know what, I'd like to do that, knowing that we're right there with you to support you, right? And if you need help on that close, right, then you're just going to be paid for the open. It's still better than having nothing, right? And saying, yeah, let's turn this deal over. Let's have Rick, let's have one of the other senior consultants call this person and just be a second voice and come in and help close that deal for you. Okay, so those are all things we'll talk about over time once you get started. But the point is, starting off, you're talking about making these $250 to $400 type checks multiple times in a week to the point where you're like, oh my gosh, right? We just paid someone yesterday $1,000, and it's just like the amount of hours that they put in to get that check was ridiculously low, right? And they were super happy, and that's why they go out and do it again and again and again. And the other great thing about what we do is that we don't just pay you on the first time that customer comes on board. If you're still working with us, you know, actively out making calls and booking appointments and closing deals, if that's what you've chosen to do, and that client you closed a month ago or 2 months ago even, doesn't matter. If you're still working with us and all of a sudden they say, gosh, that was a wonderful thing we did with you before, there's a lot of attrition in these industries, we need to hire another 5 people, another 8 people. Let's do another contract for $3,500 or $2,500. You're going to get paid on that again. That's super, super exciting. And that same customer, if you close them and you're sitting here following up with them and seeing how everything's going, checking back in with them in a couple of months, and you've opened and closed that deal, you're going to make that whole 20% back again just by redoing that deal if that was your original client. And so this is what compounds on itself. Now, if you've stopped working for us and you're not booking appointments and actively calling every day, this isn't some residual business where you're sitting there getting paid for the rest of time and eternity, because these dealerships are going to be around. We'll have to be paying the people that are calling them back and following up and reclose them again. But for that time, if you're working for us, you're getting all those re-ups. And so it's an incentive to continue working, hard and doing stuff for yourself, and to be getting those, we call them, residual income. So any more questions before I go through and show you just briefly how we go about doing this business?
Nope.
We're all set.
Okay, fantastic.
Is it quite a bit more that you get paid if you take the deal all the way to the end?
Yeah, it's double. So instead of just making 10%, you're making the
Oh.
other 10% on that. So that's why I said 20% is what you'd be making on that closed contract.
So on $4,000, you say one of the packages $4,000.
Yep.
You'd make basically about $800 or so.
Yeah, you'd make 20% of that, which is $800.
Okay, good. And that happens quite often.
Well, yeah, and the deal is that it's on every single client. So on that deal, right, they're paying us per person they've hired. So a lot of times they're hiring, 2 or 3 people at that time, maybe even 5 people. And so when they've got a contract like that, you're not just getting that 20% on one person. A lot of times it's multiple people. So on that larger contract, that $4,000 per person in 60 days, you might get being paid right $800 times 3 people. So getting a check for $2,400, for example.
I got you. Okay.
So it really compounds on
Wow.
itself. It'll
That
make
sounds
more
good.
sense, Bill, when you see the scripts and you see the different packages that we send out to everybody. I haven't sent those out to everybody yet, but as soon as somebody says, yeah, this is something I'd like to get going on, that's when we send you all the package for your scripts, and we continue on with the training.
And how long does it take to get started?
We literally have people that get started the very next day, sometimes the same day, right? As soon as you get a script and you have some hours, we're sitting here at 10:30 in the morning, West Coast time, for example. We've got some people on the call here from Los Angeles. Again, time zones effective for everywhere in the country, but it's just a matter of how experienced somebody is, how comfortable they are. When they see the scripts, they see how everything is. When I show them how quickly it is to find these leads, they can literally start the same day, right? Be booking appointments for tomorrow. That's how fast it is. There's no pressure to start that fast. If you want to start tomorrow or start in 2 days from now, the point is the opportunity is live. These people have paid for money to run these ads today that we're going to be calling, and I'm going to show you how to do that right now. Can everybody see my screen right now showing Indeed?
Yes.
Is there anybody that...
No, I can't see it. I can see the calling.
You're just calling. Okay, that's fine. You'll be able to see this on the replay. I can send you afterwards.
Okay, no problem.
Okay, so I'm actually on a site called Indeed, and I'm not gonna keep telling you that right now. Throughout the whole call, we'll just send you the replay of this recording, and you'll be able to see visually what I'm doing, or we can just spend a few minutes one-on-one afterwards when you are in front of a computer. As I said in the ad, that is a requirement to have a computer and a telephone, right, to be able to do this. And for those that can see my screen right now, you'll understand why here in just a second. So I'm just going to use I've got Los Angeles up here. I just told one of the gentlemen that's on the call that I spent the last 23 years in Los Angeles. But again, this is for any city, anywhere in the country that you choose you want to work at. This is the same type of process. And so I'm at Indeed.com right now. It's just one of many examples you can use, but this is one of the top places for people to post jobs, employers to post jobs, for people to look for jobs, etc. Very well organized. But I'm just going to start out here with the sales side of things. And so I'm going to put in here automotive sales consultant. You see these recent searches down here. I can just click on it, but I would just type it right up in there. See in the top left where my cursor is, where it says automotive sales consultant?
Yes.
And I've just typed in the city, Los Angeles, hit find jobs, and then boom, here's this long list. And I've got page 1 of 6 jobs. So these are every single page has all these different jobs going down it. Do you see all those? I went down through that real fast, but I'm going to sit here at the automotive sales consultant. I'm going to click on this first one. Now, just like in Google or some other search sites, people pay for placement, right? So they're paying a large amount of money to be placed at the first, to be seen first when somebody comes here looking for an automotive sales consultant position in Los Angeles. They're paying to be the first one being seen. So motivated, they're already spending money, very motivated to try to find these type of people for their business because they're losing money every single day. They don't have their full staff. So I click on this automotive sales consultant. It pops right up. New Century Auto Group, Glendale, California. I can just highlight this. Turns blue when it's highlighted. I right-click on there, and it says search Google for New Century Auto Group. So I'm not having to retype things and do things. I'm just sitting here typing in for them to search it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's on Glen Oaks Boulevard. And see, it pulls right up to the website here.
Yeah.
Right.
So what we're looking for, because we're looking for the sales side, the people that place this ad. So when I come to their website, I'm looking for where they usually have their list of, this seems like a pretty small place probably. I'm hitting contact us, but I'm trying to see if they have a team lease place somewhere. Got rid of that part there. There we go. That was just a message from Zoom coming up. So I just had to go into the sales rep section. We've got a CEO, we've got the general manager that's usually in charge of the whole dealership, and then I'm looking down here where it says sales manager. And this is probably the person that is placing the ad. I'm not going to attempt to pronounce that last name right there, but Gary. Can you all see Gary there?
Yes.
So when I'm calling into the phone number, this is the person that probably placed the ad. This is who I'm going to be listening to. But whoever answers the phone, 99% of the time, it's going to be a receptionist. And so when I get into that first phone call, again, when you have your script in front of you, you're going to be sitting there introducing yourself, and here's the receptionist say, could you please tell me the name of the person who ran the ad for the automotive salesman? Oh, great. Right, and they're going to tell you probably the same answer. Oh, that was Gary, right? And you're going to ask, what extension is he at? Yeah, I've got his phone number right here on the website. I even have his mobile number. Most times they're not going to, on a lot of sites, they don't show the person's mobile number, but this is great that you already have the mobile number. When you click on this section for the email, if you look down at the very bottom right of my screen, I can't point it out because I got to keep my cursor on the email section. But when I hold over this email, you see how it says down the very bottom left-hand corner of my screen, mail to, and then it says Gary at centuryautoleasing.com.
Yeah, I can
You see that? So
Right.
these are the things that I'm typing into my notes. So I can't go down here and highlight it very quickly unless I actually click on the email while I'm getting through and talking to Gary. But these are things that I can click on, and sometimes it goes right to my email and it already pre-populates like as if I'm sending them an email. But a lot of times it doesn't. And right now I just try to click on it. It doesn't open up and just automatically send them an email. I'm having to look down there in the bottom lower part of my screen, and I'm writing Gary at Century Auto Leasing so I can put that into my lead that you're going to send back to me. Okay? And as they transfer me to the call, this is when I'm sitting here talking to Gary and just going through the script. It's super, super simple. But the bottom line is, hey, Gary, I see you have an ad for an automotive salesperson. How many salespeople do you need? And they're like, oh, I need 4, or I need 5, or I need 3, whatever size place that they're looking for. And this is how you just jump into your conversation. And what we're trying to get, obviously, this one, we have a lot of the information already. You verify the mobile number. You're obviously going to verify the email address, even though you're staring at it right there. I just want to make sure, Gary, if you go through the script, your email is Gary at, and you repeat the whole thing, centuryautoleasing.com. He says yes. I'm also going to ask, is there anybody else, and this is all in the script, by the way, I'm going to ask, is there anybody else that's part of that decision-making if you decide to go with one of our packages to handle your staffing for you? Right? And he's probably going to say, well, yeah, there's our general manager. And you say, does Tony have to be involved? Because you've got his name sitting right here also. So you want to, anytime you can inject that you've been doing your research, anytime you can say, listen, is Tony going to be involved in this, the general manager? So he knows, like, wow, this guy's sharp. He's not just randomly calling me. He's done his homework. All these things add to their confidence in handing you over their business. So just because you have this information, if you don't use it and intelligently put it out there, you're kind of wasting the fact that you are doing this part about pulling their ad up and pulling their website up in front of them. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Great. And so you're going to want to include that information on there when you give us that email. Again, when I highlight Tony's email over here, it actually says it down there just like Gary's. It says tony@centuryautoleasing.com. So we're actually going to include that on the lead sheet as well, making sure we acknowledge them, first and last name, general manager. We've got all the information on the website here, so we don't need to keep Gary on. A super part of that long conversation, just creating that lead, setting the appointment. We're respecting the fact we know that they're super busy as well. We're being professional, being articulate, going through the script, getting the information, putting that into a lead sheet format with your name, your contact details, and then you're going to email that to me, and we're going to let you move on to creating another lead. And we'll follow up and make sure that person is called, follow up with you what happened on that so you know who I'm getting paid on, who I'm not getting paid on. And it's just a beautiful symbiotic relationship between yourselves, choosing where you want to work, who you want to be calling, what state you want to be working in, and you just communicate with me so we don't have a bunch of overlap that day. So you just send me a short message and saying, I'm going to be calling Atlanta, right? If you're in Atlanta, you might want to say, I'm going to be calling Florida this morning. I'm going to be calling, just send me a message so that we don't have 3 or 4 people sitting here trying to call through the same, starting at job 1, job 2, and going in that order and having multiple people calling the same person. Does that make sense? So it's good to chime in the morning when you're calling out to somebody, let me know where you're calling, and I'll let you know if there's a duplicate or if I should have you be calling somewhere else. I'll be on top of that. So you can assume that you can call that area unless I call in and say, oh, hey, John, we have somebody already calling into Atlanta today. You can start down. There's 200 pages here, so you can start down on page 50 if you want and start calling so you're not overlapping with this person's calling. But that's just simple communication, and we handle this easily and have not run into a bunch of problems with people overlapping to this point. Does that make sense?
Rick, how many phone calls can you make? I mean, how many leads are there?
There's literally, as we go through this, I'm gonna back up to just show you again on the screen. If you're able to see the screen, we can type in any city, any state, and there's just pages and pages and pages of leads. That's why I said in the ad, we're never going to run out of leads. And guess what happens tomorrow, right? This whole thing is refreshed with people that are paying for leads on that day. And so you've got a list of who you're talking to. Most people, when they've created a lead, obviously they're keeping those sheets. So again, you find out if that was somebody that said yes or said no, and you might want to call them back in another week or two because, again, they'll be posting new ads, and it's just this never-ending sea of leads. And especially when we switch over to the technician side, right? And I'm going to do that right now, actually, is type in the automotive sales technician and get an idea of what you have there as well. Or service technician.
Automotive technicians, right?
Yeah, automotive service technician. So we were talking about page 1 of 685 jobs in this one city, right? And again, you can go city by city all through the state. It's just a plethora of people actively paying money to place these ads looking for somebody, and they would rather hand this over. When people have a budget, right, just talk about your own life. When you've got these stable things you have every single month, your mortgage payment, a car payment, your health insurance, your telephone, cell phone bill. People like having a static payment that they know is going to be there. I mean, they'd rather not have it, but if they have to have a choice, right, they'd rather know that here's the cost, and I'm going to get that job done for that cost. When you have the variable of a company having to place these ads, they don't know exactly how much time it's going to take them to interview and do the research and make sure these people really have the certifications that they claim they have on the service side. This is thousands of dollars for them to go through this hiring process. Whereas they can turn around and have a contract with our company where we're guaranteeing them that job for a set price, right? So they don't have to keep spending the money on the ads. They don't have to keep allocating their time away from making money jobs to come here and focus on trying to hire somebody. They can just focus on.
But you explained that to them, right?
Absolutely. And so that's why they say yes to our contracts, right? They're understanding like, man, I'd much rather sit here and not have an open variable of spending $2,000 or $3,000, $4,000 just to hire one person when I can go over here with the company that specializes in this and has, we've got, once you come on board and start working with us, we're going to send you a sheet with some references on there where these people can quickly call outbound, get directly a hold of another person in their industry and have them share some ranting and raving reviews for us. And it just really helps our senior consultants and yourselves if you get to the point where you're wanting to close these packages yourself. It's just a great, great tool to use, right? When they can, find out in a matter of minutes that, oh gosh, these guys really do deliver. They deliver quickly. They deliver high quality. We've used them again and again and again. And that just begins a new relationship with us.
Right.
Does that make sense, you guys?
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So my details, I want you guys to take out a piece of paper and a pen. I want you to have my information. The same phone number that is in the ad, you've got that available in the ad, but I want to give it to you again right now. That phone number is 719-966-7425. That's 719-966-7425. My name is Rick. Last name is Grunden, spelled Grunden. And what I want you to do after this phone call, if there's something you'd like to move forward on, have a one-on-one conversation, that's where you would send that request. Via phone, you can text it, you can call directly. If I don't, for some reason, answer, which is rarely the case, go ahead and leave a message, and I'll get back to you as soon as I'm off that call that I'm on, if I'm in another call that I can't switch off of and things like that. And what you're going to want to do in that same message, if you haven't already done it, is send me your email address as well so that I may send you the scripts and other package materials to get you started.
Rick, you say there's no night calling or holiday or weekend calling?
Well, just we don't have a high success rate of reaching people. These people are high level positions. Very rarely are we doing calling on the weekend. So this is a Monday through Friday job. The calling times from where you're calling into, right? Because you might be in a different time zone. Like I said, you might choose to work different hours, right? You might be on the East Coast and say, it works better for me to start at noon. I've got a bunch of stuff with my kids, or I've got another part-time job. And so I'm going to start calling at 10 a.m. in Pacific time, which is 1 p.m. for you, right? If you're on the East Coast. And that's the kind of flexibility that we're talking about being able to call that works for you. But yeah, it's 7-hour window from 10 a.m. to about 5 p.m. is that we've proven over time is the biggest, highest sweet spot for us.
And you can make good money just working 6-7 hours a day?
Absolutely.
I mean, I know you have to work. I know you have to make the calls, but
yeah, you've got to make the calls, obviously,
right.
But we have such a high close percentage that you're sitting here making a 250. There's a lot of people that don't make $250 in a day in this world, right? There's that's a good amount of money, and we can sit here and you could literally be putting through several leads per day that have the potential of earning you $250. And I'm talking about multiples of that sometimes for a dealership. And I don't just mean the residual income over time. I'm saying that when they're doing these other packages where they're hiring us, paying us a per person ratio, you're talking about making $400 to, if you're closing that yourself, then you're talking about $800, but that's per person. And they sometimes are hiring multiple people. And then you sometimes get a juggernaut, which is just that it's not as good as hitting the lottery for $1 billion, but it's nice, is when you get to a location like we've got a dealership in Los Angeles, the Keys group, there's this identical relationship all over the country where they have multiple dealerships. They've got Keys Honda, right? Keys Chevrolet, Keys Audi, Keys this, Keys that, from that same brand, and we can get into a juggernaut of doing a contract where we outsource and take care of all their hiring for multiple dealerships. And that's when you just, take your wife or other significant other out to dinner and you go celebrate, right? Because it's such a big, nice little chunk you just stumbled into. And that's the variable that's kept me in this industry for literally decades, is because I love to have that unknown variable where all of a sudden I just made, literally thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars from a single phone call over the course of a few days and a few times of calling back to the same person. But all of a sudden we have a relationship that's going to sit here and pay me, right? As long as I'm still working with the company, it's going to be paying me for month after month, year after year, depending on how long you stay with us.
And how many phone calls do you think you need to make a day to be successful with?
Well, again, it's up to the individual. If they're sitting here wanting to, right, make a few hours worth of phone calls or make 5 or 6 or 7 hours worth of phone calls, it's up to them of what they're wanting to get out of it. But you can literally sit here and get into a system with these little tricks and tips that I've shown you where you can just be highlighting, clicking on, and not having to retype a bunch of things. And then, like I have it set up on my computer, it's real simple. I just click on the phone and it dials it for me, right? So I'm not even actually sitting here punching numbers and dialing, which a lot of people do, right? They're looking at a number and 310-555, and they're actually punching in the dials and dialing themselves. But my point is, you can learn certain tricks and tips that I can help you with as we go through this and get you more experience, where you're limiting your amount of click-throughs to get through the actual person. And you'll start, because you'll be so familiar with it, you'll sit here and start dialing while you're looking, through to find the person you're going to be hopefully asking for, that they're going to be telling you who you're talking to. Like that example of talking to Gary, the sales manager. I've already clicked through and I'm dialing the dealership, knowing that while it's ringing through and while the gal's going to be saying hello, and while I say, oh, hi, my name's Rick, and could you please tell me the name of the person who ran I already know that I'm going to be saying that. And while I'm saying that, my mouse is over here clicking on and going to the meet our team, and I'm scrolling down and I'm basically seeing the name of the person. So I'm just saying, you get to such an efficiency level that you can make so many calls in a day that, right, just make you such a nice amount of money that you want to stay with us forever.
All right. So if you make 40, 50 calls, you should be doing pretty good then, right?
You should be doing very, very
50
well.
calls a day.
It would be a very, very good, great outcome for anybody, even if they were having bad luck.
All right. No, I get it. Okay. So all we got to do is get you that information, and you close the deal, and we get paid for it.
That's exactly right. And when you're ready, when you're wanting to raise your hand and say, gosh, I feel so comfortable doing this, I've seen the email that we send out, right, that's going to come in your welcoming package. I absolutely know that, I'm getting a sense when I'm talking setting all these appointments, I really get a sense that this person definitely wants to outsource this to me. I would like to go ahead and close that package and double my money on this deal. It's like, great. We'll give you that opportunity, because we know that even if someone stumbles through that, we're right here to, right, when you raise a white flag or get us on and say, hey, I was just talking to John over here at this dealership, and there's definitely some interest, definitely a strong lead. I just wasn't able to close it myself. Well, we're right there to step in and go ahead and do it. You're still getting paid half of the money on that deal, and half is better than zero, right?
Absolutely.
So this is a growing relationship. Does anyone else have any questions?
Yeah, I have a question.
Please.
This is Aaron.
Hi, Aaron.
Yeah. Is this just based on commission only?
This is based on commission only, meaning the successful transaction from you setting an appointment, and then from one of our senior consultants closing that appointment on one of these big packages. And it might be big sounding to you, but it's not big, right, to them, because they're spending this usually the same amount of money or more and having to do all the work themselves. And so that's why so many people in dealerships say yes to our offer, and then there's overnighting a check or a wire, and then you're getting paid out literally instantaneously that next day or the next day, depending on how late that deal came in.
Oh, okay.
So this is not an hourly wage, and I promise you're getting paid a heck of a lot more than you would be dealing with an hourly wage, because we're paying you such a high percentage on a very large ticket price. So getting 10% right on a booking an appointment is an amazing wage, and getting to double that if you get to the point where you're saying, gosh, these packages sound so dang good, and I know these people are looking for this type of thing and wanting to outsource it. I'd like to go ahead and follow up with them tomorrow after we send out this email, and I'd like to go over these packages and close them on this, and you'd be getting double that amount.
Oh, okay.
But we have people that to this day, they just still book the appointments. They just don't want to be a part of that closing conversation. There's no judgment in there. They just are very, very happy booking, getting on to the next appointment, letting someone with 20 years experience, right, close those deals. And so there's no judgment about like just staying on board and creating those appointments, as many as you can in a day, and then starting over the next day and you're like, let's get after it again. And man, we want to pay you quickly, because you're just like training anybody. It's like, man, go out and do that activity again. Like, who wants to get paid again? Who wants to get another one of those paychecks? And it's just a beautiful cyclical relationship that gets somebody motivated when they get paid.
Absolutely.
I have a question.
Please say your name and where you're calling from.
Yes, my name is Cordian King, and I'm calling from Atlanta.
Wonderful.
Yes, so I was want to know, as far as with after signing up and everything, and going over the scripts or whatnot, do you guys take down like our account information, or how does like our information as far as with is that there's a platform for us to get that information to you?
Yes, you're going to be obviously you're going to be 1099, so we're going to get your information so you can get paid, right? So you have to give us that information. Every single lead you do is stamped with your information on it, right? So that even if it's passed to a senior agent to close for you or anybody, it's all being sent to me, and it's all documented by me. So I keep track of everybody that's working for us, right? Every single lead comes through, and then I disseminate them to whichever senior sales consultant is up to get that next lead. And they've got your information stamped on the top of that as well, because they're going to want to say, hey, John, you spoke to Aaron yesterday, or you spoke to John yesterday, or you spoke to Bill yesterday, or Stephanie, or, Aaron. They're going to want to be able to have that personalized communication. So your name and everything is attached to every single lead, so you're not lost in the cracks. Like, wait, who gave this lead? Who are we supposed to pay? Oh, we don't know. I'll screw them. It's all linked to you, because, again, we want to reward your behavior. We want to pay you the money, right, so that you can turn around and go out and get some more for us.
Yes. And one more question.
Please.
How would we be able to keep track of the leads that we made after you guys do your part as far as with closing? How do we keep track of those calls that we close?
Well, we're gonna be training you on a system to manage your leads, right? And so you've got to be able to come back, and because again, keeping in contact with somebody, the closer is now the person that's going to be managing that account, right? And so until you become a closer, it's not the opener that turns around and calls them back in a month or two and then this and that, seeing if they still need some help or whatever. The closer now has that account, and so they're going to be dripping on them with digital mail and things like that to make sure that we keep in contact, so that we're the first top of mind the next time that they need somebody. And that's why we get these residual payments. So you're going to be paid again and again as long as you're actively working with us, right? This isn't a retirement plan where, I worked for them for 3 years and I didn't work for the next 15 because they just kept having to hire more people and I got paid every time.
Yeah.
So it's an amazing mutually beneficial incentive program for you to keep working with us and booking new appointments, because you're going to want to get those residual income moments where we surprise you and say, they just booked up for 5 more sales associates. Here's another check. Now, they just did another contract with us. Here's another check. And that's just like bonus money coming in that is absolutely always a good day.
Yeah.
Great question. Anybody else have a question? Well, guys,
When do we start?
yeah.
When do we start?
That's great. I've already had a couple messages come in from a few of you that have been on the phone call already. So I'm going to start with those. Going to go in order of how those came in, and I'm going to be sending out the packages that have your scripts in there, the reference letter, and just directions. It'll also include the email that we send out after you've booked the appointment, so you know about the packages that are being offered, so you can talk intelligently about those. And we'll sit here and have a one-on-one conversation with each and every one of you that responds to go over and find out the next steps and kind of get an idea of how many hours you plan on working. Again, it's flexible for you, but we just want to have an idea what areas you want to be calling into, just getting an idea so we don't have overlap and things like that. Does that sound fair enough?
Yes.
And the good news is we've been
Absolutely.
doing this for a while, so we've got a very, very keyed-in system. So there's just this, when they talk about, I don't mean to say this in a condescending way when I say children. I've got a son who's 20 years old now, and I'm saying that having something to do, knowing what you do, having a system to follow, just like the successes of franchises and things like that, the reason why people pay $1 million for, over $1 million for a McDonald's franchise is not because nobody in here knows how to make a burger, right? We all probably know how to make a burger, but they have a system in which they sit there and follow. From the moment the person walks in the door, they know exactly what their jobs and their tasks are. And there's a comfort in that of knowing that if I follow these steps, by gosh, I'm going to make money because I'm going to have a consistent product to put out there. And that's exactly the same kind of thing you're doing here is you're coming on board on something that already works. And so this is not a guinea pig class of let's see if these guys can be successful doing that. Let's see if this group can actually make these phone calls and find out if these dealerships are even interested in hiring us. The point is, we already are doing this. We already know that when we follow this system, I call out to these people just like Rick showed me to do. I look up and find out the service manager that's going to be hiring these service technicians. I call the gal. She puts me through to him, and all of a sudden I'm having this conversation. I follow the script. I get this information from them. It's all basic information, right? Email, mobile number, not just the office number, but a mobile number. We don't want to skip through and have to go through the receptionist next time when the senior consultant calls them back. Want them to call up and say, John, this is Bill Weathersby. I'm one of the senior consultants here at B. Brooks & Associates. John just set an appointment with you yesterday for me to call today. Have you had a chance to go over you just want to get right into that conversation. So we gather this information. We send it you send it into me. I set out those appointments until you're ready to raise your hand and say, you know what, I'd like to try closing these myself, right? You're still going to send in that lead to me, but I can turn around and assign it right back to you if you want to, right? So this is a system that you're following, and at the end of that system is a huge paycheck. It's a consistent paycheck because you sit there. The paycheck is as consistent as you are in calling. So this is a numbers game, but it's a numbers game that produces a very high output for all people involved, for our company, for you, the person that's booking the appointment, and for you or the person that's closing the appointment. And obviously it's a win-win for the actual dealership, so they wouldn't be coming back to us over and over and over again or be willing to put their name on our reference list so they can be called, because it's kind of like a community, a fraternity, if you will, of these other dealerships. When they find something that works, it's kind of like a little an association, if you will. They don't mind passing on this good information to somebody else because it's a dream come true for them to be able to outsource this to a company like ours that specializes in this, so they can focus on the things that make them the most money, which is selling cars if they're the sales manager, or it's having their bays filled up with cars that are being serviced because they've got enough technicians to handle it, and they can open up the floodgates to their business, bringing in all this money from servicing cars. So we're all in a win-win-win situation. There are no losers, and that's why we have such a symbiotic relationship, not only with the people like yourselves that are working with us, but obviously our dealerships who we're serving. So it's a beautiful feeling, and that's why we have such a low attrition rate, but there's such a need, and there's such a the ability for these people to hire good technicians and good salespeople is dwindling for them. So they're having to do 4 or 5 and 10 times the work because there's a lack of technicians. And with this baby boomer industry, there's articles you're going to be able to read when you get educated on what we're sending them that'll educate you on what the need is out there and why it's so necessary for them to hire a company like ours. And you're just going to love doing what we do here. So thank you again for being on the call. You've all got my number now. I'm going to repeat it one more time. It's 719-966-7425. And my name is Rick Grunden. You can call, text, get a hold of me. If you come up with any questions afterwards, after the fact. But each of us are going to be talking on a one-on-one basis here. I've seen several more come in that people have been on this call that have asked for the information. So get that to me as soon as you can, and we'll start working with you on a first-come, first-served basis that responded on this call. So thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll be talking to each one of you individually. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, everybody.